Good evening, everyone. How are you all doing? Yeah, I think it's been long that I have been live um, on the social media, right? And the reason I came live today is to talk about something very interesting today. So I've been doing my BA psychology, and today was my exam for the second year. The exam started, the domain examination started, and today was the exam of creative writing. And I want to talk about something, what creative writing is, and I want to read some questions which came, and what was my thought process when I was answering these questions. And it is very important for you to understand if you are writing content online, if you're creating content online, what should be your thought process to write a creative content, right? So it's basically a mix of all the different aspects, like for example, how resonating you're creating the content, how impactful content is, are your audiences expecting those content from anyone, not specifically from you, but from anyone, right? So there was one question which was about writing blogs. So I'm sure you understand what is writing blogs is, right? So it's basically you share information with someone who is seeking for that information, and these basically are done through your websites or portals where there is a capability of writing a blog, right? So Google provides its own capability, WordPress provides its own capability of writing blogs, and there are different platforms where you can use to write these blogs. Now let me break it down, what kinds of blogs you can write, right? So there could be educational blogs where you can target specific subject or a specific academic topics, and then you can write blogs which can provide information for people who are searching for that information online, right? That is one, that is educational blogs. The other ones are basically DIY blogs. It basically provides you the step-by-step information of how you can perform certain activity. For example, DIY an, a telescope, right? So it's an example of how you can follow the instructions, which will add value, which you're looking out for something as an outcome by your search in Google, right? So ideally, the whole idea of blog is basically to provide a content which is creative enough to give you some value which you're looking out for online. Now, there are some product promotions blog, right? Where basically they talk about an organization who has its own product. Maybe they can talk about what this product does, how it can help you if you're searching for that particular keyword online, and so on and so forth, right? There could be comparison blogs, which is basically comparing two different products, two different services, which will give you a decision point where you can decide which one you should go for. For example, the other day I was looking out for which streaming services I should use, StreamYard or Restream. And I found a blog, which was very interesting blog from one of the very known uh, web hosting platforms, right? Now, why web hosting platforms or these kind of service providers are writing blogs for streaming services? Because that's what people are looking out for, right? And I read that blog and it was very informational. And I took a decision on which streaming services I should go ahead with. So these are comparison kind of blogs, right? So I want to understand, how are you um, writing your content, right? So there are certain steps which I think I understand based on what you can do when you write your content, right? So there is a couple of questions more. For example, what kind of edits there are. So if you're writing a book, I think this is something very important for you to understand, that there are developmental edits, there are line edits, there is proofreading, which is required for you to make sure that your book is thoroughly reviewed by someone, a professional who can make sure that the developmental edit is basically if the connection between two different topics or two different scenes are in sync, right? Line edit is basically is the connection again building between two different lines. right? Grammar corrections, spelling corrections. These are kind of edits which is there. So I'm just looking at through my question paper, and I was just thinking of, talking about. There's one question which mentions that what would you say, is it important for you to have an opening in a creative writing? Now, I want to talk about this very specifically, right? What this question means is, do you need an opening in any of the content? And I believe yes, because as a psychology student, I've been learning that attention span of someone who is looking at a content is not more than 2 seconds or max 5 seconds. But if your content is not grabbing that attention for those 2 seconds, then you're missing that opportunity of engaging with that person who's looking at your content. So whenever you're creating a content in any of the social media platform, be it LinkedIn, be it Instagram, be it Facebook, or maybe if you're creating videos, shorts, make sure you have that hook, you have that opening, which immediately grabs the attention of someone who's looking at that content. And then you have to make sure that you carry that theme throughout the content, because you don't want to start with something which is hook and your story or your content is not aligned with your hook, right? So there's a format which I usually follow, which is hook, content, and call to action. Is basically the format which you can also follow in writing your own content. It's like creatively define how you can grab attention for someone who is looking at your content, right? So I usually do in a way that I'll write one-liners, which is my hook, and then I keep a lot of space so that people are intrigued, like what exactly this question is about, what exactly this hook is about. And then they go ahead and read the entire article or the entire content, right? And then I ask them to follow me on Instagram, or maybe can send me a connection, or if they have any questions, they can comment. And those are my different call to actions. But if you are a coach, or if you are a consultant, if you're a trainer, if you're planning to launch a program, maybe your call to action could be register for your upcoming program, maybe register for your yoga sessions, upcoming batches, maybe register for your business coaching sessions, which is upcoming, maybe registering for your sales funnel sessions, sales mastery sessions, anything like that. So if you're launching a program, for example, your program is launching 1 month in future, you have to make sure that the content which you are creating is aligned to your program, and it should give you the content should give that information which will help people understand that what they can expect from that workshop, right? And ask the call to action of each of the content should be maybe either register for the workshop which is coming, or maybe show an interest of how you can register for the workshop. So ask for either a comment which say interest, and then you can send out a personal message to them with the registration link, or you can directly provide the registration link where they can register for your workshop, right? So this is basically a whole crux of how an opening is important for your entire content, right? Your opening is the major chunk of your content. Everybody must be thinking that your main content, like what exactly you talking about in that content, is very important. It is, but the main focus of your content should be your hook line. It's very important that you have designed that hook line, that you yourself will think that, yes, I want to understand what exactly is the next content. So ask yourself, is it intriguing that much that you want to look forward, right? And then if you feel that, yes, this is something I want to know more, everyone who is looking at that content will go through the similar process, the way you felt it for the first time looking at the content. So make sure you have that opening very, very nicely defined. There was another question about what is plagiarism, and why it must be avoided while writing. So, guys, I would really recommend that if you are writing blogs, articles, a book, you have to make sure that the content which you're writing is inspired by someone, not directly copied by anyone. Because there are tools now available which can detect if it's a plagiarized content. And You can use it as a inspiration. Like if you're writing a content, use it as someone else. If you're following someone, you like that content, use that content as an inspiration and create your own version of it. Not exactly copying, but own version of it. And you can also give credit to someone who is already from where you're copying the content. That is the right way to do it. So avoid plagiarism in your content. It is very important for you, because plagiarism is basically a legal offense, right? People can reach out to you as a legal approach if you copy someone's content and you post it stating yours, right? So make sure that you give credit to whoever you're taking the content from, and making sure that you are not getting into the plagiarism zone, right? So don't don't do that, right? So the next, there was a very interesting question, which was a sentence, and I had to complete that in 500 words, and yeah, it's a kind of a story, which actually helps you critically think about a situation and how you can conclude that situation. Right? So the story was like, the day was unusually calm under the hot sun. Suddenly, flock of birds started flying crazily in the sky above, and in the streets, dogs started barking and running. What followed was uncanny. Question mark. And then there were 500 words I was supposed to write. And then I created a story, right? I created a story, and I just said that, okay, I was on a morning run, and as I live in a hilly region, which is very close to a forest, I had a straightforward encounter with a bear, right? That was my imagination. And then when I started writing that as an answer, I keep getting thoughts of what I can include in my answer, which will be very creative, right? So I was standing in front of the bear. There are certain questions which were running in my mind, whether I should run, whether to stand still. I was talking to myself in my answer, right? So, and then suddenly the bear came closer to me. It was 50 meters away from me. And then I started realizing that, oh, this is my last day. And I was writing exactly the same thing. I was realizing, what I was speaking to someone the other day was not right. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done this. So it was like me talking to myself and realizing that this is the last day of my life. That was the story which I built up. And the end of the story was like, suddenly, the bear turns to the right, and there was a trash can, and he picked up a huge chunk of food which was in a plastic, and he ran away in the jungle. But that day, that time, that moment was something, a realization moment, right? Basically, a self-realization that what I'm doing with my life, life can end anytime, right? And whatever you're doing, something which you feel is wrong, don't do that. Go back to your previous connections where you have disconnected, and get connected, get back to them, forgive others, spend lovely time with your family and friends. And this is basically a self-realization of that moment which I actually wrote in that answer. So this basically defines how critically you think while creating a content. Now, AI is available for you to create the content, but trust me, AI content is absolutely mechanical, right? They give you the answer. So, ChatGPT, for example, is a compilation of millions of books, right? So, whatever answer you'll get from ChatGPT is mostly bookish and technical. So how do you take inspiration from ChatGPT and create your own content, which is emotionally resonating with people who are reading those content, and that hitting that note, which will instigate the person who is reading the content or listening to you, will reach out to you for help, or for a casual discussion. It can be anything, right? So yeah, I think that's something which is very important. Whenever you're creating content, make sure that you follow a certain process. Uh, you create content which is resonating with people, which is relevant to your niche, and which is relatable to the people who are struggling with certain problem which you're trying to solve with your content, right? Ideally, it's basically you're trying to solve a specific problem which you can provide help with your value, your knowledge, your experience, your skills. And whenever you're creating the content, make sure you have your hook, which is very important. create the content which is related to your hook, and always have a call to action, which is basically follow or maybe subscribe, whatever it may be. So yeah, I think this is something which I wanted to talk about. And there was one poem in the last question, which was basically 12 to 14 lines poem, which I translated my song which I wrote long back. It was a Hindi song which is called Aman, and I translated the exact same song in English, and I wrote that in English because it's my own poem or a song. I could do that, but I think it's basically the whole point of getting coming on live and talking about this is basically to give you an idea how you can create content which is relatable, relevant, and resonating, right? So 3 hours of content which you should always think while creating it, and always think creative how you can create your content which is better than your previous content, right? Always think about that. And I would also want to add something which is very important, that consistently post or share your content. Do not worry about how many likes you're getting, how many followers do you have, whether you're getting some comment or not. Just keep on posting the value, which is basically, uh, just do it. Don't expect the outcome. If you have that expectations that my post should be like, liked by so many people, and then I should be having so many followers, my YouTube subscribers should be increased by so and so. So it's not going to happen that way, right? It takes time, right? It takes time. It takes a lot of time for you to build your online presence. The only thing that can help you is be in your niche, continuously post, understand the algorithm of the social media platform which you are using, and keep on posting your content which is resonating, relevant, and relatable. So I hope you have a good understanding about what creative writing is, and I really wanted to come online and talk about this because this is something very very important. Everyone should understand what creative writing is. So if you like these kind of content, comment below, and if you want to know more about social media designs, reach out to me. I can help you. Designing your profile. There are a lot of things that needs to be done in terms of making your social media profile shine, right? So reach out to me, DM me on the comment, and I'll reach out to you. Until then, be focused, be consistent, be dedicated, and be invincible.